Today's show is sponsored by the Multiorgasmic Mama.com. If lack of confidence, low libido, or guilt and shame around your sexuality are the cause of your bedroom woes, the hot wild sex you never have anymore, or the transition into motherhood that sucked your libido dry, let me help you get your mojo and magnetic feminine spark back. Magic, miracles, total self-love, and multi-orgasmic bliss included. See you at themultiorgasmicmama.com. What is up, hot mamas? Welcome back to the Multiorgasmic Mama. Today we are talking about boundaries. Do your boundaries suck? They probably do. Most women's boundaries suck, especially if you're a people pleaser or an overgiver, right? If you struggle with boundaries or knowing what you want or like in the bedroom, it's a good sign that you could use some help with your darn boundaries, okay? And what I find often is that the lack of boundaries that you have sexually, sensually, often show up in your parenting and in life in general. It kind of develops from an exploitation of your sexuality or sensuality when you're young, but over time, it starts to leak into other areas of your life. So today, I'm going to share with you a 5-step process to practice creating boundaries and to start fearlessly speaking them right now. This practice comes from the trauma resolution teacher, coach, and guide, Rachel Maddox. And it is such a simple process that you can do it with your partner, you can do it with your best friend. And once you've mastered it, you can even do it with your older kids and teach them how to do the process so they don't inherit the people-pleasing and the over-giving tendencies that you probably have yourself, so that they grow up knowing how to say no. And if you, mama, want to embody your sensuality deeper, you've got to learn what feeds you. You have got to learn to speak your wants and needs and create healthy boundaries with everyone in your life. But it starts with doing things that have nothing to do with sensuality or sexuality, because that can be the place where it's the most difficult to speak your yeses and your nos, right? But there are other places in your life where it might be easier to start. And then once you mastered that, you can move on to, boundaries in your sensuality and sexuality. But the thing is, every single woman I know sucks with boundaries. She's either too fierce, and she struggles with feeling closed off and guarded all of the time and always on the defense, or she is too flimsy in her boundaries and people walk all over her, especially her kids, and she's probably in a codependent relationship. Okay, so it's usually a fluctuation of either you have too fierce boundaries or you have too flimsy boundaries, and there are probably areas of your life where you've seen, or times in your life where you've seen yourself bounce back and forth between either having too fierce or too flimsy boundaries. But a sovereign, sensually embodied woman, my dears, knows what she wants and what she likes and how to say yes and no and ask for it. And she knows in her body what a fuck yes and what a fuck no feels like, and does not hesitate to let that be known. The way this gets degraded in us is that at some point in every woman's life, we experience an imprint of exploitation. Okay, so this could happen sexually, physically, emotionally, energetically, and this messes with our ability to be able to stand in our power and in our sovereignty. And it becomes difficult to connect with what is a yes and what's a no, because we either go into people pleasing and overgiving to cater to someone else's needs so that they feel protected and good and safe. And sometimes we give into their ideas about us, or we get super defensive and we get guarded and we don't let anyone in, and we're always on guard. And this is because at our core, we have to feel safe and that we belong. Okay, so this exploitation happens somewhere in your childhood. Like, this is something that we've all experienced. It's just a core wound of humanity and growing up under patriarchy and religious sexual oppression, that somewhere along the line, all of us got negative conditioning, negative ideas about our bodies from the media, from porn, from whatever. But what happens is that if at some point our no meant that we wouldn't be safe or belong, then we start to stop saying no. We don't have the courage to say no anymore, or we don't have the capacity to say no anymore, because we feel like we have to say yes in order to feel safe or in order to belong. And this is when we start losing our sense of sovereignty. And if you are in and out of relationships and you find yourself creating codependent relationships, we start to have that pattern, or we start people pleasing and overgiving. And a question that I want you to ask yourself is, can I feel connected to others and know that I will still be loved and belong and safe if I honor my no and I say no? So I'm going to say that again. I really want you to feel in your body, like, could you do this? Could you still feel connected to others and know that you're still going to be loved, safe, and that you're going to belong if you honor your no and you say no? So if you answered that and it was like, yeah, I don't know, that sounds really difficult, or, I'm not sure I could feel that I still belong or that I'll feel safe, then chances are your sense of sovereignty has been degraded and your boundaries suck. Okay. In this practice that I'm going to teach you, it's really simple. And over time, when you practice it, it's going to become more and more clear what a no feels like and what is a yes. So this practice comes from Rachel Maddox. So the more you practice giving positive feedback for your no's, which is the whole point of the exercise, and you'll see in a minute, the easier it is to speak your no's. So this practice is all about feeling in your body what a no feels like, and receiving and saying the no, and then receiving positive feedback for speaking your no. Okay, so the first step is that you're going to think of someone that you feel safe with, either a partner or a friend, a really good friend, one that you feel safe with, or just anyone in general that makes you feel safe. When you think of yourself being around them, you can just like relax and be yourself, and you know that they're not judgy towards you, that they're not quick to lend their opinion of you, whatever. And this process you can actually do with an older child as well once you have mastered it. But I wouldn't start with that, obviously, because you need to work on this for yourself first. So start with, a best friend or a partner or someone that makes you feel safe. And you're going to work on these boundaries around saying no. So the second step is that you're going to choose who's going to go first in this exercise. And you're going to ask each other factual questions that would be an obvious and factual no. For example, if you're doing this with your partner, and if your partner is the one going first, she or he would ask you something like, is your hair color whatever? So he's going to say, is your hair color something other than what your actual hair color is? Something that's an obvious no. So if you have blonde hair, he'd say, is your hair color brown? And when you respond, you'd say no. And you're going to put your hands up towards your chest and just say no, like you would in a stop motion, right? And then you're just going to really feel into your body what that feels like to say no to such an obvious factual no. What are the sensations of it? How does it feel to say no to something obvious? And then the third step is that you're going to move on to obvious yes, no preference questions and slowly feeling what a no feels like for these. So this one might not be factual, but it's pretty obvious. So something, for example, here would be, if your partner is asking the question, Your partner could say something like, "Will you give me $10,000?" Well, that's probably going to be a no. So you would then feel into your no and speak it. And once you get to step 3, your partner is then going to say, "Thank you for taking care of yourself," or "Thank you for honoring your no and being honest." So you want them to repeat this each time after you speak your no, so that they're helping you create that positive feedback loop for your no. And this will allow you to feel what it feels like to give a no and then be thanked and praised for saying no. And then step 4 is that once you're getting advanced at this, you're going to start to ask each other more challenging yes, no preference questions, and slowly feeling with your arms out in that no position, really feeling into your body like what that feels like. So for example, "Will you give me a back rub tonight?" Well, that could be a yes, but if you really check in and you've had a really long day and you're super tired, you're just going to really feel into no. "No, I don't want to give you a back rub tonight." So this can seem challenging at first, but this is what you eventually want to get to, is speaking your no to something that is a little more challenging to say no to, because you love your partner, you want to give them a back rub, but if it's really not good for you right now, or you really just don't have the energy, like being able to speak your no is such a powerful thing. And then your partner is going to thank you for your no and for taking care of yourself. And then step 5 is to switch turns. So then your partner can practice speaking his or her no, or whoever you're practicing with. So if you're doing this regularly and practicing it, you're going to start to notice that it's easier to say no in more and more intense situations, because you now know what your no feels like in your body, and you have the expectation that someone else can receive your no. And if you are out and about and someone, for example, like the classroom mom or whatever, or the PTO president, if they ask you to do something and you're checking in with yourself and with your body and you're just like, "Actually, no, that doesn't feel good." If you speak your no and you're kind about it and then they get offended for you taking care of yourself, then you're going to start to recognize that that's not your problem. That is not your shit to deal with. And it's okay for someone else to be upset because you spoke your truth and your no. Their reaction is not your responsibility. And that is such a difficult thing for women in this day and age to understand, is that we just get so conditioned to feel like we have to be responsible for helping everyone else feel good. You are not responsible for someone else's reaction to you taking care of yourself, for speaking your truth, and for saying your no. Okay, hot mamas, try this one out and tell me what you think about the experience. You can either subscribe and give us a 5-star rating and leave a comment or a review and tell us how it went, or even actually been thinking about these reviews, because the podcast spreads the more reviews that are on it, and there's not many reviews on here. So I would love it if y'all would tell me what you want to hear more about on this podcast. Like, what topics would you want to hear more about? I would love to know, because that helps me obviously create content that's relevant and valuable to you. So go do that. And if you've enjoyed this podcast and want more practices like this, I would love to have you in the Sensually Embodied Woman Group Coaching Program. So this is my 10-week group program to help you release negative conditioning and trauma with the Jade Egg practice, and with group and private one-on-one coaching. If you struggle with boundaries, if you don't know what you want and you like, then the Sensually Embodied Woman program is exactly the thing that will help you discover this and feel safe embodying your femininity and your sensuality and sexuality further. So the last day to apply and to talk with me about it, to see if it's a good fit for you, is Friday, Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2020. Get your applications in today, hot mamas, because there are only a couple days left to book your call and get you onboarded and all set up before we start. The program is going to run 10 weeks from the week of February 17th through April 20th. And how it works is that on the odd weeks, we will have a 2-hour interactive session where I will teach on a particular topic, and we will then go into group coaching for the remainder of the call. And then on even weeks, I'm going to be leading you through a 1.5-hour live jade egg practice so that you learn the proper way to use the jade egg, which, by the way, is not wearing the freaking thing around. And you're going to learn how to use it to release negative conditioning and trauma from your body. And you're going to learn how to use it to up-level your pleasure and your prosperity and your wildness and the sensual, sexual woman inside. And also on the even weeks, you will have the opportunity to book private office hours calls with me and receive one-on-one coaching. So you will get 5 opportunities to book the office hours, 5 live jade egg sessions, and 5 interactive teaching group coaching sessions. All the group calls are going to be recorded and available for you to watch if you can't make it live. And all you need to do is head to themultiorgasmic-mama.com/sensually-embodied-woman for the investment, all of the details, and to apply. And just an FYI, I will never offer this program at this rate again. It's already ridiculously cheap compared to the value that you're getting in it. So if you want to get in on it while it is the cheapest it will ever be, then head to the website now and book your call because it's happening soon, my dear. All right, hot mamas, talk to y'all soon and have a wonderful week learning all about your no.